Hey, what's going on, Dodgers Nation? Doug McCain here. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. Are the Dodgers considering reinstating Trevor Bauer? Are they considering keeping him? We're going to dive into that in just a second, but quick reminder, for all latest Dodgers news and rumors all off-season long, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you really want to support the channel, smash that like button. And as always, I want your takes down below in the comment section. Today's Dodgers Nation question of the day: do you think that Trevor Bauer will be back with the Dodgers next season? What do you think the organization is going to do? Let me know down below. And for all latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. So we might as well just call it the Bauer Hour at this point, because we have covered the Trevor Bauer situation from wire to wire, and we got a very interesting update, and this time it was from the LA Times' Jack Harris, who wrote a report that had some very telling nuggets on where the Dodgers are at right now with Trevor Bauer. And the first big takeaway was that the Dodgers were surprised when the news came out when it did, because at Dodger Stadium, a lot of the employees, a lot of the front office officials, they were ready for Christmas and going on a little bit of a break, and then the news came out, and then they were in a situation where they had to release a statement of some sort. They were scrambling because the timing of the news was very interesting. Usually you don't see news like that released right before Christmas, but Jack Harris had this to say. He wrote, "Team officials had only been alerted about the ruling roughly half an hour prior. People with knowledge of the situation said, and some staff didn't learn about it until MLB's public announcement." So pretty much the Dodgers, they got the news at the same time that you and I did. They were right there with us, and they were in a position where, one, they realized that he was going to be eligible to play immediately, that he was reinstated immediately, and that they had up until January 6th, 2 weeks from that day, to make a decision on whether or not they were going to reinstate him or just release him and eat that $22.5 million. So now at this point, I'm pretty sure you know that no matter what the Dodgers do with Trevor Bauer, they are on the hook for at least $22.5 million. Now, if he does sign with the team for the league minimum, which is at $720,000 for the 2023 season, that number would go down to $21.8 million, but still, it would have a big impact on the Dodgers CBT number. We know that right now they're $1 million under that at $232 million. That's per roster resources through Fangraphs, and with arbitration, with player bonuses, if they take on any salary through a mid-season trade or anything like that, they are going to surpass that number. And the Dodgers, as third-time offenders, they paid the tax the last 2 seasons. They're going to owe 50% for every overage over that $233 million mark. So it is going to cost the Dodgers one way or the other, and I'm sure right now within the organization, they're probably having some very difficult conversations, because one way of looking at it is saying, hey, we have to pay the guy no matter what, and if we do release him, most likely he's going to get an opportunity with another team, and we'll essentially be paying Trevor Bauer to play for another team. What if that team is the San Diego Padres or the San Francisco Giants or the Houston Astros, a team they could face in the postseason, a team that could be in the Dodgers' way to win a World Series? So there is that competitive angle, and then also there's the public relations angle. We know the Dodgers have been very sensitive to this Trevor Bauer situation, and you would have to assume that the Dodgers are strongly considering a potential backlash that would result from reinstating Trevor Bauer and him pitching for the team again. Because let's be honest, whether you love Bauer or you hate Bauer, he's a very polarizing player. Most fans have an opinion of the guy, and I think if the Dodgers want to go down that road, it could be a tall task to try to spin this in a way where fans would be okay with him being out there on the mound. That is not all fans. I would say that there's more fans right now that would rather see Bauer pitch for the Dodgers than not pitch for the Dodgers. That is just the consensus that I've gotten from the polls I've ran on Dodgers Nation Twitter. I would say right now it's closer to 60-40 or 70-30 for fans that would rather see him pitch for the Dodgers than LA just outright release him. Well, right now, at the moment, the Dodgers are still undecided as to what they're going to do with the 2020 Cy Young Award winner. Jack Harris writes, "Yet as of Thursday night, club executives were still discussing how they would proceed, according to people with knowledge of the situation, and could wait to make a final decision until closer to the January 6th deadline to either release Bauer or activate him." He would go on to write, "The team would like to gather more information about precisely what led to the arbitrator's decision, but confidentiality rules in MLB sexual assault and domestic violence policy, which was jointly negotiated by the league and players union, make it unlikely the Dodgers will learn much, if anything, beyond Thursday's statement or receive a copy of the arbitrator's final report. The arbitrator did affirm that the pitcher violated the league's sexual assault and domestic abuse policy, and even at 194 games, Bauer's suspension is the longest administered in the policy's 7-year history. So I think that's where it gets tricky for the Dodgers, the fact that they won't have access to all the information. It's not like they can say, hey, we reviewed the facts, we reviewed the information, and we feel okay with allowing Trevor Bauer to pitch for us again. But if they're not going to be privy to that information and allow that to help them make a decision, it could be a tough sell, because this Dodgers organization, they don't like bad publicity. This is an organization that does not like to cause a lot of controversy. They don't like answering those difficult questions and having those uncomfortable conversations. They would rather speak with their play on the field, and just look at the players that they've gone out and signed over the last few seasons. A lot of choir boys, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. The face of their organization for over a decade now has been a Roberto Clemente Award winner in Clayton Kershaw. This is an organization that, for the most part, they shy away from controversial characters and guys that are as polarizing as Trevor Bauer. So I think it's going to be a difficult decision for the Dodgers, because on one end, you factor that, but the other end, you say, hey, this is a guy that could really help this rotation. This is a Dodgers team that is in need of another frontline starter, and that is what they originally planned for Trevor Bauer to be. So I think that has to be enticing for this team. It has to be somewhat tantalizing to say, hey, Trevor Bauer, if he comes back and he pitches anything close to the way he pitches when he had a 2.59 ERA with the Dodgers back in 2021, and a guy that can eat innings, that can go a long way to help this team get back to the World Series. So there's Trevor Bauer, the player, and there's Trevor Bauer and all the baggage that comes with him. So I think this organization is going to take a long, hard look at all angles, because that is exactly what this Dodgers organization does. They always do their due diligence, no matter if it's a minor league signing or a situation like the one they're dealing with Trevor Bauer. But Jack Harris also did write in his piece that his return to the team is at best a slim possibility. So just the fact that it is a slim possibility rather than he's not going to be a option at all whatsoever, I think that is very interesting, because I think the Dodgers are in a position where they realize the ramifications that it's already going to have on their CBT and how much it's going to cost them in penalties, and the fact that, hey, they're not really in a great position to go out there and sign any other players. There's no other big name free agent still available. There's a very minimal amount of starting pitchers on the trade market that you can even go after. You really have to wait until during the season for any of those guys to even possibly be available. So, hey, Trevor Bauer is a guy that can definitely help this team on the field, but the big obstacles are, can they sell it to a portion of their fan base that doesn't want to see Bauer pitch for the Dodgers again? And also, can they sell to their current team, to the current Dodgers roster that didn't support him after he was placed on administrative leave back in 2021? Harris talked about it in his piece. He wrote, those allegations also turned the pitcher into a pariah in his own clubhouse. Two people with knowledge of the Dodgers clubhouse dynamics at the time, who were granted anonymity to speak freely about the situation, said a majority of players on that 2021 team did not want Bauer back under any circumstances. Now, a couple takeaways from that is that, one, this roster in 2023, there's already been a lot of turnover from that 2021 team. Yes, you have Clayton Kershaw, who, like I said, he's been the face of this franchise for over a decade. I'm sure they would consider his input to an extent. And then there's Chris Taylor, who's really not a strong personality. I doubt that he'd be very vocal about bringing Trevor Bauer back into the clubhouse. I'm sure Dave Roberts is a guy who would have some input as well. But I think the front office, the general manager, of course, Brandon Gomes, and the president of baseball operations, Andrew Friedman, they have the final say. If they think that, hey, putting him back on this roster, back in this clubhouse, back in this rotation is the best thing for the Dodgers, I'm sure that guys would trust him. And quite frankly, I don't think this organization and the decision makers and the brain trust are going to allow their current players decide on which players should be on the roster. But that is the latest with Trevor Bauer. The Dodgers are still undecided about what they're going to do with him. And tomorrow I'm doing an interview with the LA Times' Bill Shakin, who has been the expert at this story. He's been covering the Trevor Bauer situation from day one. I'm going to ask him some questions about Bauer and his future and what the Dodgers might be thinking at the moment. So be sure to look out for that tomorrow. Now I'm going to drop that. I'm talking to him tomorrow. So be on the lookout for my interview with the LA Times' Bill Shakin. We're talking all Bauer and some potential outcomes for LA and what factors are on the table right now. But let me know down below in the comment section, do you believe that Trevor Bauer will be pitching pitching for the Dodgers next season? Do you think he should be pitching for the Dodgers next season? Let me know down below. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. For all latest Dodgers news and rumors all off-season long, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you want to see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. And as always, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.